Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Appreciate your support. Enjoy the podcast. Yo, 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 yo. It is Teacher Talking Sports, episode number 4 here at you. And today's episode is entitled Let's Give Thanks. Of course, tomorrow is Thanksgiving here in the United States. So if you celebrate, definitely enjoy your holiday. I'm thankful for a lot. Thankful for my Twitch followers. Thankful for my YouTube subscribers, those who viewed. Greatly appreciate it. Thankful for a 4-day weekend. It's been a challenging school year, since the last 2 years were a lot remote. I mean, I love my students, don't get me wrong, but it's nice to have some time off, so I'm thankful for that. I'm even wearing my cute shirt here, so it says, it's quarantine to make that climb to 6th grade. So, yes, I'm a 5th grade teacher. Someone made this, one of the 5th grade teachers made this shirt in the 2019-20 school year, when we were remote from March on, and we actually did a drive-by. So like during their 5th grade graduation, we actually got each student's address and drove by to each student's house, would honk our horns, wore these shirts. I would take credit for it, but it was another 5th grade teacher who made the shirt. So anyhow, let's get into episode number 4 here on Twitch, later on YouTube after I'm done. First and foremost, subscribe to my YouTube channel, please. Teacher Talking Sports. I recently hit 2,000 total views. Pretty impressive, I guess. I've had it my YouTube for about 3 weeks. I've been posting daily videos. As you see, one of my playlists is the MLB Mount Rushmores, so I've taken on the task of doing every single MLB team's 4 best players in franchise history. I've been doing them daily. I think I've done 13 of 32 teams, going in alphabetical order. So tomorrow is the Los Angeles Dodgers. And as you see, I also put my podcasts on there. This is the 4th one. So we're going to talk about things that players, teams, fans, etc. Should be thankful for, as we enter the United States holiday tomorrow. Before we get into that, let me just mention there are 3 Thanksgiving NFL games tomorrow. The first one should be a doozy. Joke. The Lions and the Bears. I actually made a video a week and a half ago about where I asked when will the Lions first win a game. And I actually did predict that tomorrow would be that day. I don't know if Boyle or Jared Goff is going to get the start for the Lions, but I'm going to say that the Detroit Lions get their first win of the season tomorrow. We shall see, though. Then we got the Cowboys and the Raiders. Amari Cooper out with COVID. CeeDee Lamb was in concussion protocol. It's looking like he's going to play, which will be big because the Cowboys have struggled offensively in 2 of their last 3 games. So at least they'll have one of their top 2 receivers if Lamb does play. And then we end with the Bills and the Saints. The Saints have struggled since Jameis Winston went down for the season with a torn ACL. Trevor Siemian's been putting up a lot of garbage time stats when his team's been down multiple scores. The Bills, some weeks they look like the favorite to win the Super Bowl, and then there's games like last week where they give up 5 total touchdowns to Jonathan Taylor, and lose to the Jaguars before that, 9-6. So who knows what Bills team to expect. So those are the 3 Thanksgiving game days. My Thanksgiving day has pretty much been the same for quite some time. Eat, watch football, and nap at some points. It's pretty much guaranteed that I fall asleep at some point on Thanksgiving. But let's get into it. So let's look at some things that players, fans, teams should be thankful for as we approach the holiday tomorrow. Let's start with a city in general, and that is Tampa Bay, Florida. So Tampa Bay, I mean, look how successful their teams have been. This is after the 2020 Stanley Cup Finals. Yep, Lightning raised the cup, Stanley Cup champions. And the 2021 season, more of the same. 2 straight seasons winning the Stanley Cup. They are off to an 11-4-3 start in the 2021-2022 season. So, again, looking like one of the early favorites to potentially three-peat and win 3 Stanley Cups in a row. Then if we move on to the Buccaneers, yes, Tom Brady finally left the Patriots after 2 decades, joined the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the only other team he's called home besides the Patriots in his first year, with Rob Gronkowski coming out of retirement. They win the Super Bowl. Came out of nowhere. The season prior, they did not make the playoffs, with Jameis Winston throwing 30 interceptions. Adding Tom Brady just brought a level of stability, and he outdueled Pat Mahomes by quite a wide margin to win the last Super Bowl. This year they are 7-3. So again, one of the early favorites with 17-game season this year. And then we got the Tampa Bay Rays. No, they did not win the World Series. They have yet to in their franchise's history, but they did finish with the best record in the American League. They went 162. So it's amazing what the Rays can do. They always have one of the lowest payrolls in the league. Even with the best record in the American League, they didn't have really anyone that was close to be considered, a decent chance at winning the MVP. They have guys like Brandon Lau, Austin Meadows, but just amazing how with their super low payroll, they just don't get fan support either. I'm sure you've seen memes, jokes about how small their crowds are, and despite it, they just succeed. I'm hoping for their sake that Wander Franco really becomes the superstar that many suspect he will. Just sign that very long extension for a lot of money. He looks like he could be the face of the MLB for the next 10, 15 years. So let's see how that goes. But yeah, Tampa Bay, just a lot of success. I live in New Jersey, so the New York area hasn't seen as much success. Yankees fans are always kind of thinking World Series are bust, and it's been a while since they've won the World Series. Giants won the Super Bowl about a decade ago, haven't won a playoff game since. The Jets are the Jets. Rangers, Devils, Islanders haven't won a title in a while. So, yeah, Tampa Bay's got it made with their sports teams. All right, next we got the New England Patriots. The New England Patriots, the first place New England Patriots post Tom Brady. They are thankful that Mac Jones was the 5th quarterback selected in the 2021 NFL Draft. If you look here, we see Trevor Lawrence out of Clemson, selected 1st overall. Zach Wilson, 2nd overall. Trey Lance, 3rd overall. And Justin Fields, 11th overall. Mac Jones, 15th overall. And right now he's looked by far to be the best out of all those 5. You see stats here, courtesy of Pro Football Reference. 14 touchdown passes, 8 interceptions. Let me show my teacher skills here and do some quick math. The other 4 have a combined 19 touchdown passes and 27 interceptions. So fairly clear that Mac Jones is performing the best. Of course, that doesn't necessarily mean he'll have the best career, but he's easily off to the best start, and his team's definitely having the most success out of all those. Jaguars only 2 wins, Jets only 2 wins, Bears 3 wins. The Niners are 500, but we can't really say it's because of Trey Lance. Lance has only started 1 game, and that was a loss. It'll be interesting who wins Offensive Rookie of the Year. It's really between Mac Jones and the 5th overall pick, Jamar Chase. You look at his numbers, 47 catches, 867 yards, and 8 touchdowns. So that'll be an interesting race to see who wins Offensive Rookie of the Year. Patriots still have a chance at that number 1 seed in the AFC. They got a big game on Sunday against the Tennessee Titans. Titans, despite their loss to the Texans, still own the top seed in the AFC. And this playoff year, only the top seed gets a bye. All right, next, we got 2 teams that should be thankful, even though they're not good. And those are the Giants and the Jets. Why should they be thankful? Well, they should be thankful that the Bears and the Seahawks have kind of underachieved and really are not performing well. If we look at the projected draft order, so this would be the draft order if the draft were to start today. Of course, that's not necessarily the case because there's still 7 weeks to go. But right now, the Jets would have the 2nd pick, which is their own. We got the Giants with the 5th pick, which is their own, at 3 and 7. Then, because the Jets got first-round picks from the Seattle Seahawks in the Jamal Adams trade, they also own the 6th pick. So as of now, they would have the 2nd and 6th picks in the draft, while the Giants would have the 5th pick and the 7th pick. That 7th pick comes via trade with the 3 and 7 Bears. The Bears traded up to draft Justin Fields. So, as of now, 4 of the top 7 picks are between the Giants and Jets. I find it funny when it lists like team needs. So for the Jets, we got cornerback, edge rusher, offensive tackle, linebacker, tight end. Giants, linebacker, edge, offensive guard, center, tight end. You could really just pretty much list every position because, both teams are just devoid of talent. And they're not going to be able to, succeed until they get a lot more talent on their team. Of course, David Gettleman, the Giants GM, not looking likely that he will remain with the team next season. They just fired offensive coordinator Jason Garrett. Let's see if that makes a difference for the Giants the rest of the season. I am a Giants fan, but I know we're bad. All right, next we got fans of the NFL should just be thankful of the parity in the NFL. So, as of now, 24 of 32 teams in the NFL are either in a current playoff spot or just 1 game out of a playoff spot. Absolutely incredible. It's 3/4 of the teams in the NFL. Right now, there's only 1 team with 2 losses. There's 0 with 0 or 1. There's 6 teams with 3 losses and another 6 teams with 4 losses. So 13 of the 32 teams have either 2, 3, or 4 losses. We look at the AFC. This is the first season that there are 7 playoff teams in each conference. The top seed gets the bye in the first week. So right now we got the Titans with the bye. But we got, as you could see, Ravens are second at 7 and 3. Those are the only 2 teams with 3 losses in the AFC. Then seeds 3 through 8 all have 4 losses. The Patriots, Chiefs, Bengals, Chargers, Bills, Steelers all have 4 losses. And with 5 losses, the 9 through 11 seeds currently, Colts, Browns, and Raiders. So yes, the difference in losses between the 2nd seed and the 12 seed. Did I mention the Broncos? I think I did. 2nd seed and 12 seed is just 2 losses in the AFC. Absolutely, astonishing, right? 1st seed to 12 seed, only a 2-loss difference. 3rd seed to 12 seed, a 1-loss difference. Absolutely amazing. The NFC, as I mentioned, one team has 2 losses in the NFL this season. That is the Arizona Cardinals, current best record of 9-2. Let's see if Kyler Murray can, perform like he was prior to his ankle injury. He's missed the last 3 games, but surprisingly, the Cardinals went 2-1 in those games with Colt McCoy as their starting quarterback. As you can see right now, the top 7: Cardinals, Packers, Buccaneers, Cowboys, Rams, Vikings, Saints. Those are the top 7. 49ers tied with the Saints and the Vikings at 5-5. Eagles and Panthers game back at 5-6. Falcons and Washington football team 1 game back at 4-6 again. So that means 12 teams in each conference are either in a playoff spot or just a game out. I mean, even the Giants, Bears, and Seahawks are theoretically only 2 games out of the playoffs. So there's only one team in the NFC that are more than 2 games out of the playoffs, and that's the 9-1 Lions. Don't forget what I said. Lions are going to get their first win tomorrow. We'll see. Forget I said that if they don't get it. All right, the next thing that some teams should be thankful for is the off-season quarterback options there can be. There could be some huge names that may be changing teams this season, starting with this man, Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers made it clear throughout this past offseason that he is not happy in Green Bay. He wants out. Basically signed a contract that only ties him to Green Bay for this season. Then, he could likely leave. Other quarterbacks include Russell Wilson with the Seahawks. There was a lot of noise that he wasn't happy in Seattle. His agent actually mentioned 4 teams that he would be willing to go to in a trade. And also Deshaun Watson. Now, we don't know what Deshaun Watson's situation is going to be. I'm not going to get too in-depth with that. But if Deshaun Watson is eligible to play next season, he's much younger than both Rodgers and Wilson and is coming off an outstanding 2020 season with the Texans. Of course, the Texans are basically paying him this year not to play. But, look at the teams who may need a quarterback next year. We could go with the Dolphins. Are they ready to move on from Tua to a bigger name? We got the Steelers. Ben Roethlisberger could potentially retire, and, definitely doesn't look like the Ben Roethlisberger of old. Of course, the Texans will be looking at for a quarterback, but it's highly unlikely they'll get one of these guys. We got the Raiders. Could the Raiders be moving on from Derek Carr? It's really been 3 straight seasons, if you include this one, where they've just swooned at the second half of the season after looking like they were a potential playoff team. Just has not happened. They've had second half collapses each of the past 2 years, and they've lost 3 in a row this year to move to 500 after an excellent start. The Denver Broncos. Teddy Bridgewater will be a free agent. There was a lot of rumors of Aaron Rodgers potentially going to the Broncos in the offseason. It looks like the Eagles, the way they've been playing better, they may stick with Jalen Hurts. I believe they may. The Washington football team, though, they signed Ryan Fitzpatrick. Really looked like a 1-year stopgap quarterback because he's, 38 about, or 39. And he got hurt in the first week of the season. Taylor Heineke's played admirably, but, let's be serious. They could definitely upgrade. So, Washington, are the Giants ready to move on from Daniel Jones? As a Giants fan, I could firmly say I'm not a huge believer in Daniel Jones ever putting together like a Pro Bowl caliber career. But will the Giants admit their mistake and move on from Daniel Jones, especially if they get a new GM? Lions, I don't see the Lions getting any of these guys either. They do have to pay Jared Goff a lot of money next season. The Saints, Jameis Winston, of course, out for the year. They did give Taysom Hill an extension, but it's worded very strangely. It kind of depends on what position he plays as to how much money he'll get. So do the Saints believe in Taysom Hill being their starting quarterback next year? Trevor Siemian really hasn't shown he deserves a chance next year. The Panthers could be just signed Cam Newton, of course, made his first start last week. I would say, if I had to guess, Cam Newton won't be back with the Panthers next season unless he really balls out these last 6 games. Falcons potentially could move on from Matt Ryan, so that could be another quarterback who might be switching teams. So a lot of teams potentially could be in the quarterback market, of course, if the Seahawks lose Russell Wilson. So there could be a huge quarterback carousel going into next offseason, and big names such as Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, and to a lesser extent Matt Ryan could potentially be up on the move. All right, next thing to be thankful for is fantasy football owners who have Jonathan Taylor on their team. Jonathan Taylor, running back, just 22 years old in his second season, and man, what a season he's having. Most people would have said Derrick Henry's the best running back in the NFL until he got hurt, and I mean, he still might be, but he's not playing at the moment. But look at Jonathan Taylor's game log. So his first 3 games started off slow, didn't score a touchdown. From week 4 on, look at these numbers. Kaboom. In 8 games, 951 rushing yards, 13 rushing touchdowns, 24 catches, 252 receiving yards, 2 receiving touchdowns, all culminated by the last game against the Bills when he rushed for 185 yards, 4 rushing touchdowns, and also had a receiving touchdown. Jonathan Taylor has just been absolutely incredible of late. Fantasy owners got to be reaping the rewards of drafting him, or imagine if you traded him. How maybe after those first 3 games where he didn't score, you traded him, and you see what's going on. You definitely aren't thankful for that. But those who currently own Jonathan Taylor, what a season. And honestly, leading the league in rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. Honestly, if the Colts were to find a way to make the playoffs, he could potentially be a high MVP candidate. Has there really been a quarterback who has taken over the season this year? It's just something to think about. But Jonathan Taylor, definitely fantasy football MVP thus far this season. Myself, I am thankful for daily fantasy sports in general, because it makes games that otherwise wouldn't be exciting. So like tomorrow, we got the Bears at the Lions. Look at some of these games Sunday. Jets at Texans. Yuck. We got Falcons at Jaguars. Yuck. Even the Monday night game, Seahawks at Washington. I mean, really, like, it's some very unexciting, unattractive games. But hey, when you play daily fantasy sports, when you play fantasy sports in general, all you need is one player on those teams, and it makes the game that much more exciting. I do a lot of DraftKings, some FanDuel as well. So, they have a lot of single games. So you could really do a single game for nearly any game, and it just makes it that much more exciting. So I'm excited for all, fantasy sports, daily fantasy sites such as FanDuel and DraftKings. They definitely add some excitement to sports, at least in my opinion. All right, next we got, who should the Braves be thankful for? General Manager Alex Anthopoulos. Man, so the Braves were in a lot of trouble, right? So early on in the year, Marcell Ozuna, who had a phenomenal 2020, was placed on administrative leave for alleged domestic violence incident. And then on July 10th, running down a ball in the outfield, superstar Ronald Acuna Jr. tore his ACL course, that meant he would miss the remainder of the season. And it really wasn't looking good for the Atlanta Braves at the time they entered that game that Acuna got hurt at 43 and 44. So imagine being a game under 500, a little over halfway point of the regular season, seeing your best player go down to a season-ending injury. I think it's safe to say that probably like 9 out of 10 general managers would sell at the trade deadline, try to pick up some prospects, and retool for next season. Did Anthopoulos do that? No, he did not. So basically, he traded for an entire new outfield, including two guys in the picture here, all the way to the left, Adam Duvall, all the way to the right, Jorge Soler, and also Eddie Rosario. And those three guys played a huge role as the Braves ended up winning the World Series despite being a game under 500 when their best player went down for the season with a torn ACL. And all three of those guys played huge roles, not only for the remainder of the regular season, but in the postseason as the Braves took home the World Series trophy. If we start with Adam Duvall, he played 55 regular season games for the Braves, hit 16 homers, drove in 45 runs, and he also hit 2 home runs in the World Series. Eddie Rosario was the National League Championship Series MVP when he was absolutely incredible, batting .560 with 3 home runs in that series. During the regular season, he had a .903 OPS with the Braves in 33 games. Then we got the World Series MVP, Jorge Soler. Soler actually led the American League in home runs in 2019 with the Royals, but really had struggled since until he was acquired by the Braves. He had 3 homers in that World Series to be named World Series MVP. Also had an .882 OPS in 54 regular season games. So those 3 acquisitions by the Braves, not huge names, but each played a very large role in helping the Braves get their first World Series in about a decade and a half. I think, no, two and a half decades. I'm sorry. What was it, 1995 or 1996 they last had won the World Series. So about 2.5 decades since their last World Series win. Congrats to the Atlanta Braves, and what a job by the front office. Next, we got Mike Trout. Mike Trout. What should Mike Trout be thankful for? Well, early in the offseason, Mike Trout should be thankful that at least it looks like the Angels are trying to improve their pitching. Now, Mike Trout has been in the majors for 11 years now. Known by the majority of people as the best player in baseball, a perennial MVP candidate. Unfortunately missed a lot of last season with a calf injury, but it looks like they're trying to retool their pitching staff. That's what they've needed throughout much of his tenure, and he's never won a postseason game, amazingly, despite being known as the best player for nearly a decade. Let's start with Noah Syndergaard. They signed him to kind of a no-risk deal. I mean, yes, 1 year, $21 million. It's easy for me to say that's no risk, $21 million. But, you know, this was a guy who from 2016 to 2018 pitched to a 28-15 record with a 2.81 ERA and 9.9 strikeouts per 9 innings. Did miss much of the past 2 seasons with, Tommy after undergoing Tommy John surgery. Did play in 2 games out of relief to end last season, but if they get anything close to those 3-year stats, having him and Shohei at the top of the rotation would be, a good 1-2 for the Angels. And they also signed this guy here, Aaron Loop, a guy that many people may not know, but he was absolutely incredible in relief for the Mets last season. They signed him to a 2-year, $17 million deal. As you can see last year with the Mets, in 65 games, 56 and two-thirds innings, gave up a 0.95 ERA. Only one home run allowed in those 56 and two-thirds innings. Let's see if they re-sign closer Raisel Iglesias. They did offer him the qualifying offer. Of course, there'll be some big starting free agent pitchers out there, including Max Scherzer, Clayton Kershaw, Kevin Gausman. Let's see what the Angels do if they decide to add another starting pitcher to the fray. But at least it looks like they're trying to surround Mike Trout with some starting pitching. All right, next we got Andrew Heaney. Andrew Heaney should be thankful that a team pays him $8.5 million after the season he had. So yes, the Los Angeles Dodgers gave the 30-year-old Heaney a 1-year, $8.5 million contract. I'm a Marlins fan. Yes, believe it or not, I'm a Marlins fan from New Jersey. They took him with the 9th overall pick in 2012. You always heard about how much stuff he had, how he could be a front of the rotation guy for quite some time. Just hasn't panned out in his career. They ended up trading him in the deal that netted the Marlins D. Gordon. He only pitched 7 games with the Marlins. But if you look at it, in his career, yes, his first really full season, he had under a 4 ERA, but otherwise he hasn't. And last year was just an absolute disaster, starting with the Angels and was traded to the Yankees. In that time, 5.83 ERA in 30 games, 23 games started. The Yankees just couldn't take it anymore and moved him to the bullpen. You see this 10.4 strikeouts per 9 innings. That's excellent. But look at the home runs allowed. 29 and 129 2/3 innings. But look at what the Yankees. 13 home runs allowed in 35 and 2/3 innings. Had a 7.32 ERA with the Yankees. And that gets you $8.5 million apparently. I mean, he's got stuff. He's got the stuff to be a solid starter, but it just has not panned out. And after all these years, you wonder if it will ever will. All right, next, we're going to go to the San Antonio Spurs and their fans. So the Spurs are 4-12, kind of rebuilding. Other than Dejounte Murray, do they really have a good player, above average starter? Derek White, Jacob Podol, they're decent guys, but nothing to write home about. But let's appreciate Greg Popovich for the career he's had, right? He's still here. It's his 26th season at the helm behind the San Antonio Spurs bench. 3-time Coach of the Year, had a 5 NBA championships, made it to 6 NBA finals, alongside guys like Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, Bruce Bowen, Kawhi Leonard, Boris Diaw. The list continues. As you can see, he is 3rd all-time in wins. So he is 21 wins away from tying Don Nelson for the most career wins in NBA coaching history. The question is, will the Spurs reach it? I mean, they're 4-12, so they would need to go 22-44 the rest of the season for Popovich to surpass Nelson and become the NBA's all-time winningest coach. There's been a growing belief that Popovich will retire after the season. Whether it happens remains to be seen. But to me, Greg Popovich doesn't seem like the type of guy that would hang on for another season just to ensure that he breaks Don Nelson's record if he's not able to do it this season. So it's something to keep an eye on as the season goes on. But yes, the Spurs, 2+ decades of sustained excellence. They're on a. Eventually, it had to happen. It was inevitable that they weren't going to sustain that excellence for forever. So just appreciate all the greatness that Greg Popovich gave you, Spurs fans. Next, we got the Wizards. So the Wizards should be thankful that the vaccination mandates are not the same in Washington, D.C. as they are in New York. Definitely not getting into it my beliefs or anything like that. All I'm saying is that, certain areas, such as New York, we know Kyrie Irving can't play in home games at Brooklyn because he's not vaccinated. The Nets have decided, just to have him sit out rather than only play the road games. Washington, D.C. does not have those rules. It's known that Bradley Beal has said that he is not vaccinated, but here he is able to play in every game. So kind of crazy how, it's different rules for different players based on where they play, but that's where we are. Of course, you may remember Andrew Wiggins of the Warriors saying he didn't want to get vaccinated. It looked like he wasn't going to, but California has those same mandates that New York does. Wiggins ended up getting vaccinated in order to be eligible to be able to play this season. So, yes, the Wizards should be thankful of that. And, look how they're doing this year. They're actually the 4th seed in the East at 11-6. Playing much better than they did last season, even though Beal's averaging about 8 points less per game. They just have a lot more depth that the Russell Westbrook trade netted them, getting guys like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Montrezl Harrell. Also signing Spencer Dinwiddie to start at point guard. It's been definitely a surprising start for the Washington Wizards, and they're lucky to have Bradley Beal. John Wall should be thankful for the contract he signed. Let's be serious. In 2017, he signed an absolutely large contract extension. It's not his fault now. It's not his fault. The Rockets are basically paying him not to play. The Rockets are an awful team. Let's go back to the standings in the NBA. Rockets are 1-16, 0-11 on the road, getting outscored by an average of 11.2 points per game. John Wall is getting paid $44.3 plus million this season, and he is sitting on the bench in street clothes, not playing. Again, not his fault, not his choice. The Rockets are doing that, paying him not to play. He would be the best player on the Rockets if he were out there. But it's pretty much impossible to trade him with that contract unless he were to agree to a contract buyout where he gives up some money. Until that happens, this unfortunately might be the scene for the season. But you should be thankful that he's still getting paid all that money, even though he's not able to play. Or more or less, he should be thankful that he signed that enormous contract extension. And as a whole, NBA fans should be thankful for the amount of talent in the NBA that is 25 years or younger. Of course, this guy right here, Luka Doncic, absolute stud, one of the best players in the NBA at the ripe young age of 22, turns 23, I believe, in February. He's not the only guy, though. Some of the other guys who are 25 or younger currently playing in the league, DeAndre Ayton, John Collins, LaMelo and Lonzo Ball, Ja Morant, De'Aaron Fox, Jamal Murray, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, DeMontis Sabonis, Brandon Ingram, Trae Young, Jaylen Brown, Bam Adebayo, Donovan Mitchell, Ben Simmons, whenever he does play, Devin Booker, Zion Williamson. Let's see when Zion Williamson plays. I'm hoping he does. He's definitely an exciting guy to watch. It's unfortunate. Definitely looks overweight, but that's maybe for another podcast. And Jason Tatum. So the league is in good hands, guys. Yes, we may see guys such as LeBron James towards the tail end of his career. Other guys in their kind of mid-30s. Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant. He's still going strong, let's be serious, but he's on the other side of 30. But the NBA is always bringing in new, superb talent where the game's going to keep going and going, despite who retires, whether it's LeBron. Over the next few years, there's a boatload of young talent in the NBA, and us NBA fans should be thankful and appreciate all the talent we get to see on a daily basis in the league. Alright, so that will just about wrap up episode number 4 of Teacher Talking Sports. This one was entitled Let's Give Thanks. And yes, let's give thanks, guys. I give thanks to my family as a whole, my wife. My wife puts up with me on a daily basis. For that, I appreciate her greatly. My friends, my students, I love them to death. Yes, I'm happy that I got 4 days off, but they definitely do bring joy in my life. Being a fifth grade teacher, it's an awesome experience. I appreciate all my Twitch supporters, those of you who have subscribed to my YouTube. Again, don't forget, Teacher Talking Sports here. Hit that subscribe. Like my videos, share my videos, hit the bell for notifications. Yes, I've reached 2,000 total views. Not bad for only 3 weeks on YouTube. Going to continue grinding, posting daily videos. As I mentioned, I'm doing my MLB Mount Rushmores, the 4 best players in franchise history for each team. And that's about that for episode number 4. Thank you guys for watching. This will be posted on YouTube, so if you watch it on YouTube, I appreciate you guys as well. I'm out though, but once again, if you celebrate Thanksgiving, definitely enjoy your holiday. I know I will. Like I said, my plans every year, well, I'm going to my uncle's, but every Thanksgiving's the same. Eat, nap, watch football. And that's what tomorrow is going to be. 3 NFL games. I know there's also Ole Miss versus Mississippi State in college football. So definitely enjoy the holiday, guys. Teacher Talking Sports here. I'm out.